Welcome to the Trend Reddit channel. This is where we share interesting, humorous, and emotional stories about family life together. The mockery and contempt from friends are just minor pains compared to the humiliation he faces when the principal publicly criticizes him. But when Min goes home, the story doesn't end there. His father, a simple yet determined man, decides to take action. What unfolds next will make the entire school reconsider how they treat each other. Now, let's begin the story. Please click the notification bell to get the latest updates on our new story episodes. Thank you for your support and for being with Trend Reddit. Liam Foster arrived at Crestwood Academy, an elite institution characterized by grand architecture and affluent students. The setting contrasted sharply with his humble background, emphasizing his feelings of inadequacy as he carried a worn backpack and wore faded clothes. The entrance loomed above him, a grand facade that seemed to mock his presence. Each step he took felt heavy, as if the weight of his past was pressing down on him. He stood before the towering building, taking in the elaborate stonework and polished windows, each reflecting the sunlight in a way that seemed to shine a spotlight on his own shortcomings. As he stepped inside, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. The hallways buzzed with energy, filled with students who moved with confidence and purpose, their laughter ringing like music in the air. They chatted about the latest trends, their designer outfits a clear indication of their wealth. Liam felt out of place, the fabric of his clothes worn and thin, a stark contrast to the crisp uniforms and stylish attire of his peers. He clutched his backpack tighter, as if it could shield him from the judgmental gazes of those around him. Navigating through the school was like walking through a gallery of privilege. The walls were adorned with trophies and accolades, achievements that seemed to belong to a different world. Liam glanced at the smiling faces in the photographs, each one a reminder of the excellence he felt he could never attain. The school's reputation for academic brilliance and social status was intimidating. It wasn't just a place of learning, it was a breeding ground for the elite, where connections and wealth mattered more than effort and ability. As he entered his classroom, the feeling of isolation deepened. The teacher, Ms. Johnson, welcomed the students warmly, her voice soothing and encouraging. Yet, for Liam, her kindness felt distant, as if it were meant for someone else. He took a seat at the back, hoping to remain invisible among his classmates, who were already engaged in lively conversations. The chatter around him seemed to swirl like a storm, each laugh and whisper amplifying his anxiety. His mind raced with thoughts of how different life was outside these walls. Back home, he was the eldest of 3 siblings, often helping his parents make ends meet. They had sacrificed so much for his education, and he felt an overwhelming pressure to succeed, to make them proud. Crestwood Academy was a chance for a better future, but the weight of expectations felt almost unbearable. As the days turned into weeks, Liam struggled to find his footing. The initial excitement of attending such a prestigious school quickly faded, replaced by the harsh reality of feeling like an outsider. He would watch from a distance as students formed tight-knit groups, their laughter echoing through the halls. He longed to be part of that world, but the barriers felt insurmountable. Every time he attempted to join a conversation, the snickers and sideways glances served as a painful reminder of his place in the social hierarchy. Despite his efforts to fit in, the bullying began almost immediately. It started subtly, with whispers and pointed fingers when he walked by. But soon, Elliot Morgan, the school's popular boy, took notice of Liam's vulnerability and decided to make him his target. Elliot thrived on the power he wielded over others, his charisma masking a cruelty that left no room for empathy. Liam endured the taunts in silence, hoping that ignoring the problem would make it go away. Each day brought a new round of insults, a fresh wave of humiliation. Elliot's friends, eager to gain favor with the popular kid, joined in, adding their voices to the chorus of derision. Liam's heart sank as he heard them mimic his accent or mock his appearance, each word a dagger that pierced deeper into his self-esteem. The weight of the torment was suffocating. Liam began to dread going to school, his stomach twisting into knots every morning as he prepared for another day of ridicule. He found himself avoiding hallways where he knew Elliot and his friends would be, retreating to quiet corners of the school whenever possible. Each day felt like a battle, one that left him feeling defeated and exhausted. At home, he tried to mask his pain from his family. His father, Daniel, noticed the change in his son's demeanor. The way Liam's smile had faded and his laughter had grown scarce. Daniel, a hard-working man who had always prioritized his children's education, sensed that something was deeply wrong. He had spent countless nights helping Liam with homework, nurturing his dreams of success, but now it seemed those dreams were slipping away. One evening, after dinner, Daniel sat down with Liam, a concerned look on his face. "How was school today?" he asked, his tone gentle but probing. Liam hesitated, unsure of how to articulate the fear and sadness that consumed him. He shrugged, offering a vague response. "It was fine," he lied, knowing that revealing the truth would only worry his father more. But Daniel was not easily convinced. He had always encouraged Liam to speak up, to stand tall in the face of adversity. "You can tell me if something's bothering you, Liam. I want to help," he insisted, hoping to draw out the truth. After a long pause, Liam finally broke down, sharing the burden he had been carrying alone. As he recounted the bullying, Daniel's heart ached for his son. He felt a surge of anger toward the school, a place that was supposed to nurture and protect its students. "I'll speak to the principal," Daniel declared, determination hardening his voice. "You shouldn't have to endure this." Liam looked up at his father, a mix of fear and hope swirling in his chest. "Will it make a difference?" he asked, unsure if the administration would take him seriously. Daniel nodded firmly, his expression resolute. "It has to. No one should feel unsafe at school." The next day, Daniel made his way to Crestwood Academy, ready to confront the administration about the bullying his son faced. As he approached the school's entrance, the imposing building felt even more daunting. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what lay ahead. Inside, the atmosphere was just as vibrant and chaotic as Liam had described. Students filled the hallways, their laughter echoing as they moved from class to class. But Daniel's focus was singular. He was there to fight for his son. He navigated through the throng of students, determined to reach Principal Stevens' office. Principal Stevens was known for his strict demeanor and unwavering adherence to the school's policies. Daniel felt a mix of apprehension and resolve as he knocked on the office door. When invited in, he found the principal seated behind an ornate desk, reviewing papers with an air of authority. "Mr. Foster, what can I do for you?" Principal Stevens asked, looking up with a measured expression. Daniel wasted no time, laying bare the experiences Liam had endured since joining Crestwood. He recounted the bullying, the emotional toll it had taken on his son, and his desire for change within the school's culture. Stevens listened, his face impassive. "We have protocols in place to address bullying," he stated, his tone suggesting that the matter was already being handled. Daniel could sense the dismissal in the principal's voice, a clear indication that he was not taking the issue seriously. "I appreciate that, but it's not enough," Daniel replied, his frustration bubbling to the surface. "My son deserves to feel safe and respected here. This elitist culture has no place in education. Crestwood should be a sanctuary for all students, not just those from wealthy families." The tension in the room thickened as Stevens' expression hardened. "I understand your concerns, Mr. Foster, but these matters are complex. I assure you we are doing everything we can." Daniel felt the weight of his son's suffering bear down on him. This was not just about one child, it was about creating a safer environment for all students at Crestwood. He refused to back down. "If you truly care about the students, then you must take this seriously. I'm willing to work with you, but change needs to happen." With each word, Daniel felt more empowered, fueled by the love he had for his son and the desire to see him thrive. He was done watching Liam suffer in silence. It was time to stand up against the bullying culture that had taken root within Crestwood Academy. As the conversation unfolded, the reality of the school's elitism became starkly clear. Daniel realized that it would take more than just words to affect change. It would require a collective effort from parents, students, and faculty alike. The battle was just beginning, and he was determined to fight for a brighter future for Liam and his peers. The weeks that followed were fraught with tension. Daniel faced backlash from the school's elite, who viewed his actions as a threat to their privileged way of life. Whispers of dissent circulated among the faculty and parents, casting shadows over his reputation. Yet, Daniel remained undeterred, focusing solely on what mattered most, his son's well-being. At home, Liam noticed a change in his father. He saw the way Daniel's determination hardened in the face of adversity, a testament to his unwavering support. With each passing day, Liam began to feel a flicker of hope. The thought of standing up for himself, of finding his voice, was slowly taking root in his mind. Meanwhile, the bullying at school persisted. Elliot continued to target Liam, his cruelty only escalating in response to Daniel's confrontation with the administration. Liam's days became increasingly challenging, each moment at Crestwood Academy fraught with anxiety and fear. But amid the chaos, he found a glimmer of solace in his friendship with Emma Carter. Emma, with her bright smile and unwavering kindness, became a refuge for Liam. She reached out, offering her friendship without hesitation. Her genuine support provided a sense of comfort in a sea of hostility. Together, they began to navigate the complexities of school life, forging a bond that transcended the cruelty surrounding them. Despite facing her own challenges for befriending Liam, Emma refused to waver. She stood by him through thick and thin, unafraid to defy the expectations of her peers. Their friendship became a source of strength for both of them, a reminder that they were not alone in their struggles. As the days wore on, Daniel's efforts began to yield results. A growing number of parents rallied behind him, voicing their concerns about the school's culture. They recognized the need for change, realizing that the elitism and bullying that plagued Crestwood Academy could not be ignored any longer. The tide was slowly shifting, and the administration could no longer turn a blind eye to the issue. The conversations became louder, the call for inclusivity echoing through the hallways. It was a battle, but with each small victory, Liam felt the chains of isolation begin to break. He was no longer just a victim, he was part of a movement striving for change. As the confrontation with Principal Stevens lingered in the air, Liam found himself standing on the precipice of transformation. His journey through Crestwood Academy was far from over, but with the unwavering support of his father, Emma, and the growing community behind them, he was ready to face the challenges ahead. The fight for respect and dignity was not just for him, it was for every student who had ever felt marginalized within those hallowed halls. The battle was just beginning, and Liam Foster was ready to stand up and be heard. On his first day at Crestwood Academy, the tension in the air was palpable. As Liam Foster stepped into the bustling halls, his heart raced with a mix of excitement and anxiety. This was a prestigious school, a place where he hoped to fit in and prove himself. Yet, with each passing moment, that hope seemed to dwindle, overshadowed by the stark reality of his surroundings. He glanced around at the other students, their designer clothes and confident laughter only amplifying his feelings of inadequacy. As he made his way to his classroom, the echoes of voices filled the air, creating a chaotic yet vibrant atmosphere. Liam felt like an outsider in this world of privilege, and his apprehension grew. He reminded himself that this was a fresh start, a chance to escape the limitations of his past, but the weight of his worn backpack felt heavier with every step. The classroom was filled with eager faces, all chattering amongst themselves. Liam took a deep breath and stepped inside, hoping to blend into the background. He chose a seat in the back corner, thinking it would provide him a sense of safety. He didn't want to draw attention to himself, he wanted to observe, to learn the dynamics of this new environment before stepping forward. Just as he settled in, the door swung open, and Principal Robert Stevens strode in with an air of authority that silenced the room instantly. The students straightened in their seats, their attention shifting to the principal, whose reputation for strict enforcement of the school's rules was well known. Liam felt his stomach knot with anxiety as the principal scanned the room, his gaze sharp and assessing. "Good morning, students," Principal Stevens began, his voice commanding and precise. "I trust you are all prepared for the year ahead." Liam's heart raced as he clutched his backpack, the weight of it suddenly feeling unbearable. He was keenly aware of the eyes in the room, some filled with curiosity, others with disdain. He wished he could disappear into the fabric of his clothing. It was then that the principal's gaze landed on him, and Liam's breath caught in his throat. "Ah, Mr. Foster," Principal Stevens said, his voice dripping with condescension. "It seems you've overlooked the school's dress code." Liam's heart sank as he realized the implications of the principal's words. He had read the guidelines, but, coming from a humble background, had not been able to afford the required uniform. He had hoped that perhaps they would understand his situation, that maybe they would see beyond his appearance. But as the laughter began to ripple through the classroom, he knew he was mistaken. "Crestwood Academy has standards, and I expect all students to adhere to them," the principal continued, his tone unwavering. "This is not a place for casual attire. You will need to comply if you wish to be a part of this institution." Liam felt the heat rush to his cheeks as his classmates erupted into laughter, the sound echoing off the walls like a cruel melody. The humiliation washed over him, a wave of embarrassment that threatened to drown him. He could feel the eyes of his peers on him, scrutinizing every aspect of his being. In that moment, he became acutely aware of the divide between him and the rest of the students. Elliot Morgan, the school's popular boy, leaned back in his chair, a smug grin spreading across his face. "Looks like someone didn't get the memo," he snickered, his friends joining in the mockery. The laughter cut deeper than any physical wound. Liam felt his resolve crumbling as he sat there, exposed and vulnerable. He wanted to defend himself, to explain that he hadn't meant to break any rules, but the words caught in his throat. Instead, he stared down at his desk, fighting back tears of frustration and shame. Principal Stevens, seemingly unfazed by the commotion, continued his lecture about the importance of adhering to the school's values. "We are here to foster a community of excellence," he declared, his voice echoing in the silence that followed the laughter. "If we allow exceptions for one, we undermine the very standards that define us." The principal's words only intensified the weight on Liam's shoulders. He felt trapped in a world where his worth was determined by his clothing, where the very essence of who he was seemed irrelevant. All he wanted was a chance to prove himself, to show that he was more than the clothes he wore. Yet, in this moment, he felt utterly powerless. As the principal concluded his remarks, Liam's mind raced with thoughts of retreat. The classroom felt stifling, the air thick with judgment and expectation. He longed to escape, to run far away from the laughter and the piercing stares. But instead, he sat frozen, a silent spectator in a play where he had already lost. The bell rang, signaling the end of the class, and Liam gathered his belongings, his heart heavy with disappointment. As the students filed out, Elliot and his friends continued their taunts, their laughter echoing in Liam's ears. "Don't forget your uniform next time, Foster," Elliot shouted, his voice dripping with mockery. Liam's stomach churned as he stepped into the hallway, feeling as though the walls were closing in around him. The laughter of his classmates faded into a distant hum, replaced by the sound of his own heart pounding in his chest. He wanted to disappear, to find solace somewhere far away from Crestwood Academy and its suffocating atmosphere. As he walked through the hallways, the weight of the principal's words hung over him. The notion of belonging felt like a distant dream, slipping further away with each step. He could hear snippets of conversations around him, talk of sports, weekend plans, and the latest trends. It all felt so foreign, so unattainable. Liam reached his next class, taking a seat in the back once more. He tried to focus on the lesson, but his mind wandered, replaying the humiliation he had just endured. He felt the sting of tears threaten to escape, but he pushed them down, refusing to give in to the hurt. He needed to be strong, to prove that he was worthy of a place in this world. The teacher began the lesson, but Liam's thoughts remained scattered. The words blurred together, and he found himself staring out the window, watching the world outside. He longed for a moment of peace, a chance to breathe without the weight of judgment pressing down on him. As the class progressed, he noticed a girl sitting a few seats ahead of him. Emma Carter, with her bright smile and kind demeanor, seemed to radiate warmth. Liam admired her from afar, wishing he could muster the courage to approach her. She appeared genuine, unaffected by the superficial judgments that plagued Crestwood Academy. When the bell rang, signaling the end of class, Liam gathered his things, his heart racing. He caught a glimpse of Emma as she turned to leave. She paused for a moment, her gaze landing on him. Their eyes met, and Liam felt a flicker of connection. For a brief second, it seemed as though she understood the struggle he faced. But before he could act on the impulse to reach out, Emma was swept away by a group of friends, their laughter ringing through the hallways. Liam felt the moment slip through his fingers, and with it, the hope of finding someone who could see him for who he was, beyond the surface. As he made his way to lunch, Liam's heart sank further. The cafeteria was packed, filled with students who chatted animatedly, their voices blending into a cacophony of noise. He scanned the room for a familiar face, but the reality of his isolation settled heavily on him. He felt invisible, lost in a sea of confident smiles and boisterous laughter. Taking a deep breath, he approached the lunch line, trying to keep his head down and avoid drawing attention to himself. The food options were varied and enticing, yet all he could focus on was the nagging feeling of being an outsider. As he moved through the line, he felt the eyes of others on him, the whispers rising like a tide. "Look, it's the kid who can't even wear the right uniform," a voice called out, and laughter erupted once more. It was Elliot, his friends rallying around him, relishing in Liam's discomfort. In that moment, Liam felt the walls closing in again, suffocating him with a mixture of embarrassment and anger. He fought to keep his composure, but the sting of humiliation was too much to bear. With his heart racing, he grabbed his tray and turned away, looking for an escape. Finding a quiet corner of the cafeteria, he sat alone, the food on his tray untouched. The laughter and chatter around him felt like a distant storm, a reminder of the world he didn't belong to. He wanted to cry, to scream, to let out the frustration that bubbled beneath the surface, but he knew that wouldn't change anything. If you find it interesting, please like it. If not, please comment number 1. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. As he sat there, the reality of his situation weighed heavily on him. Crestwood Academy was supposed to be a new beginning, a chance to reinvent himself, but it felt more like a prison. He could feel the loneliness wrapping around him, tightening its grip with every passing moment. Just then, he caught sight of Emma again, her laughter brightening the room as she conversed with her friends. A pang of longing surged within him. If only he could muster the courage to approach her, to ask her to sit with him. But fear held him back, a tight knot in his stomach preventing him from taking that leap. Liam's thoughts spiraled as he observed the dynamic of the cafeteria, the cliques, the alliances, the unspoken rules that dictated social interactions. It was a world governed by status, and he felt like a mere spectator, watching. As the weeks progressed at Crestwood Academy, Liam Foster found himself ensnared in a relentless cycle of bullying and isolation. Each day began with the same knot of anxiety in his stomach as he prepared for school, knowing he would face Elliot Morgan and his friends. The laughter and mockery that echoed through the halls had become a constant presence in Liam's life, a reminder of the divide between him and his peers. Elliot seemed to revel in Liam's discomfort, taking every opportunity to undermine him. In the cafeteria, Elliot would smirk at him from across the room, exchanging knowing glances with his entourage before launching into yet another round of ridicule. "Hey, Foster. Did you forget your uniform again? Or are you just trying to make a fashion statement?" he would shout, eliciting raucous laughter from those around him. Liam tried to ignore the taunts, to focus on his studies and keep his head down. He thought that perhaps if he didn't react, they would eventually tire of their game. But each attempt to maintain his composure only fueled Elliot's fire. The popular boy seemed to thrive on Liam's humiliation, pushing the boundaries further each day. Liam's classes became a blur of anxiety and dread. He found it difficult to concentrate on his work, his mind constantly drifting to the next encounter with Elliot. As the weeks wore on, his grades began to slip. The once vibrant spark of hope he had felt upon entering Crestwood Academy dulled, overshadowed by the relentless bullying and social isolation. One afternoon, during a particularly intense math class, the teacher posed a challenging problem to the students. As the class struggled to solve it, Liam felt a flicker of confidence. He raised his hand, eager to contribute. "The answer is," he began, only to be cut off by Elliot's jeering voice. "Look everyone, it's the genius from the wrong side of the tracks." Elliot sneered, prompting laughter to erupt in the room. Liam's face flushed with embarrassment, and he lowered his hand, the answer escaping him as the laughter echoed around him. The relentless bullying took its toll. Outside of class, Liam often retreated to the library during lunch, seeking refuge among the shelves of books. In the quiet solitude, he tried to lose himself in the pages of novels, escaping the harsh realities of his life. Yet even in the library, he couldn't fully escape the weight of his situation. The whispers of students drifting in and out felt like a reminder that he was still an outsider. At home, Liam attempted to mask his struggles from his family. He would share snippets of his day, but the truth of the bullying remained hidden beneath the surface. Daniel, his father, noticed a change in his son, the way Liam's laughter had become a rare occurrence, the shadows under his eyes deepening with each passing day. One evening, as they sat together at the dinner table, Daniel leaned in, concern etched on his face. "Liam, how's school going? You've been awfully quiet lately." "It's fine, Dad," Liam replied quickly, forcing a smile. He didn't want to burden his father with the details, didn't want to worry him any more than necessary. But Daniel wasn't convinced. He continued to probe gently, hoping to draw out the truth. "If something's bothering you, you can talk to me. I want to help." Liam looked down at his plate, unable to meet his father's gaze. He wanted to share the pain he felt, to tell Daniel about the bullying and the isolation, but the words caught in his throat. Instead, he nodded, suppressing the emotions that threatened to spill over. The following day, while navigating the hallways, Liam felt a sense of defeat settling over him. He had tried to reach out to a few classmates, hoping to form connections, but every attempt had been met with indifference or ridicule. The walls of Crestwood Academy felt like they were closing in, each corner he turned only reinforcing his sense of isolation. As he approached his locker, Elliot and his friends were gathered nearby, laughing and talking animatedly. Liam's heart sank as he overheard snippets of their conversation. "Did you hear what happened to Foster?" He thought he could actually answer a question in class. Elliot's laughter rang out, sharp and cutting, and his friends joined in, egging him on. In that moment, something inside Liam snapped. He could feel the anger and frustration boiling over, the pain of humiliation churning within him. It was a turning point, a moment that ignited a flicker of defiance. He straightened his shoulders, resolved to confront Elliot for the first time. As he approached, the laughter died down, and the group turned to him, surprise written across their faces. "What do you want, Foster?" Elliot sneered, the arrogance in his tone unmistakable. Liam took a deep breath, his voice shaking but determined. "I'm done letting you bully me. You think it's funny to pick on me, but it's not. You need to stop." Elliot's smirk faded, replaced by a look of disbelief. "You think you can just tell me to stop? You don't belong here, loser." Liam felt his heart race, but he pressed on, fueled by a mixture of fear and courage. "I may not belong to your world, but that doesn't give you the right to treat me like this. I deserve to be here just like everyone else." For a moment, there was silence, and Liam could sense the tension in the air. Elliot's friends exchanged glances, unsure of how to react. But Elliot quickly regained his composure, laughter returning to his voice. "You really think you can stand up to me? You'll always be the outsider. Just accept it." Deflated, Liam turned to walk away, but something inside him stirred. He realized that this confrontation, no matter how it ended, was a crucial step toward reclaiming his power. As he left the scene, he felt a strange mix of liberation and vulnerability. The days that followed were a blur of emotions. Although the bullying didn't stop immediately, Liam felt a sense of strength he hadn't known before. It was a small victory, but it ignited a fire within him. He resolved to stand his ground, to seek support, and to find his place at Crestwood Academy, no matter how long it took. At home, he began to share bits of his experience with Daniel. "Dad, I stood up to Elliot today," he said, his voice laced with both pride and uncertainty. Daniel's face lit up with encouragement. That's fantastic, Liam. I'm proud of you for speaking up. You have every right to be treated with respect. Their conversation opened a door, allowing Liam to express the feelings he had kept bottled up for so long. He talked about the bullying, the fear, and the frustration, feeling the weight of his struggles begin to lift. Daniel listened intently, providing guidance and support as they discussed ways to navigate the challenges Liam faced at school. As the school year progressed, Liam found solace in the friendship of Emma Carter. Their bond deepened as they navigated the treacherous waters of high school together. Emma's kindness provided a stark contrast to the harsh realities of Crestwood Academy. She often checked in on Liam, offering words of encouragement and companionship that warmed his heart. One afternoon, as they sat together in the library, Liam confided in Emma about his struggles with Elliot and the impact it had on his self-esteem. "I thought this place would be different, but it feels like I'm fighting an uphill battle," he admitted, his voice tinged with vulnerability. Emma nodded, her expression empathetic. "I understand how tough it can be. Just remember, you're not alone. You have friends who care about you." Her words resonated deeply, a reminder that despite the bullying, there were people in his corner. Their friendship blossomed, and Liam began to feel a glimmer of hope, a realization that he didn't have to face the challenges of Crestwood alone. Despite the progress, the bullying continued. Elliot remained relentless, finding new ways to undermine Liam's confidence. In class, he would make snide remarks during discussions, trying to provoke a reaction. "Hey, Liam, why don't you go back to the library where you belong?" he would sneer, his voice dripping with disdain. Liam worked hard to ignore the comments, focusing on his studies and his friendship with Emma. But the strain of the situation wore on him. He couldn't help but wonder if the bullying would ever cease, if he would ever truly find his place at Crestwood Academy. As the semester wore on, a glimmer of change began to emerge. Daniel's involvement in addressing the school's culture began to draw attention, and other parents joined him in advocating for a more inclusive environment. The conversations around bullying and elitism became more prominent, challenging the status quo that had long prevailed at Crestwood. Liam's heart swelled with hope as he witnessed the community coming together to demand change. With every rallying voice, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. Perhaps, just perhaps, his voice could make a difference too. Encouraged by this newfound sense of unity, Liam decided to take a stand. He began speaking up more in class, answering questions, and contributing to discussions. Each time he raised his hand, he felt a surge of confidence, a reminder that he belonged. He sought out opportunities to connect with other students, hoping to build bridges rather than walls. With Emma by his side, Liam ventured into new social circles, engaging with classmates who had once seemed untouchable. Their laughter filled the air as they shared stories, and Liam discovered that many students faced their own struggles, hidden behind the facades of privilege. This sense of camaraderie grew, slowly but surely, as Liam forged friendships that began to shift the dynamics at Crestwood. The walls of isolation began to crack, and Liam found himself surrounded by a support system that he never thought possible. One afternoon, during a school assembly, Principal Stevens addressed the student body, acknowledging the growing concerns about bullying and the need for change. As he spoke, Liam felt a mix of apprehension and hope. The principal outlined new initiatives aimed at fostering inclusivity and respect among students. Liam's heart raced as he listened, the words resonating with him. It was a pivotal moment, one that signaled a shift in the culture of Crestwood Academy. As the assembly came to an end, Liam felt empowered, ready to embrace the changes that lay ahead. With each passing day, Liam continued to rise above the bullying, channeling his energy into his studies, friendships, and the growing movement for change. He no longer felt like a victim, he was a participant in shaping his own narrative. As the school year progressed, Liam Foster stood on the brink of transformation. He had faced the darkness of bullying and emerged stronger, buoyed by the support of his friends and the winds of change sweeping through Crestwood Academy. The journey ahead would be challenging, but for the first time, he felt a sense of hope for a future where he could truly belong. The moment of truth had arrived for Liam Foster, a culmination of months of bullying, isolation, and gradual awakening. As the atmosphere in Crestwood Academy shifted, so did the stakes. The tension was palpable as students filled the auditorium for an important assembly, and Liam could feel the electricity in the air. He had been waiting for this day, knowing it would serve as a pivotal moment for both himself and his peers. Principal Robert Stevens stood at the podium, his authoritative presence dominating the room. Students shuffled in, taking their seats, and the chatter faded as Stevens began to speak. Today, we gather not just to celebrate our achievements, but to address the pressing issues that have emerged within our school community. It is imperative that we foster an environment that values respect, inclusivity, and support for one another. Liam's heart raced as he sat among his classmates. He had heard rumors that this assembly would be different. This time, the administration was finally addressing the culture of bullying that had long plagued Crestwood. As Stevens continued, Liam felt a flicker of hope ignite within him. Perhaps this was the turning point he had been yearning for. Stevens spoke about the importance of standing up against bullying, encouraging students to report incidents and seek help. We must remember that our actions have consequences, and it is our responsibility to create a safe environment for all, he emphasized. Liam felt the words resonate deeply, a call to action that he could no longer ignore. As the assembly unfolded, Liam could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. The past few months had taught him that silence was no longer an option, and it was time to confront the issues head-on. With each passing minute, his determination grew stronger. He glanced at Emma, who sat beside him, her expression supportive and encouraging. It was as if she understood the inner battle raging within him, urging him to take that leap. The principal introduced a segment for students to voice their concerns. Liam's heart raced as he contemplated standing up and speaking out. Would he have the courage to share his story, to expose the bullying that had haunted him for so long? As the assembly progressed, a few brave students took the stage, sharing their experiences of being marginalized and bullied. Each story struck a chord within him, a reminder that he was not alone in this fight. Then, it happened. A wave of courage surged through Liam, compelling him to rise from his seat. His palms were sweaty, and his heart pounded in his chest as he made his way to the front of the auditorium. The whispers and murmurs faded into the background, replaced by the sound of his own heartbeat echoing in his ears. The stage felt daunting, but he knew he had to do this. "Hello, everyone," Liam began, his voice steady but tinged with nervousness. The room fell silent, all eyes fixed on him. "My name is Liam Foster, and I want to share my story." As he spoke, the words poured out, a cathartic release of the pain he had held inside for so long. He recounted the bullying he had faced, the humiliation he had endured, and the isolation that had plagued him at Crestwood. "For months, I have been targeted by some of my peers. The laughter, the insults, it felt like I was invisible," he admitted, feeling the weight of vulnerability wash over him. The audience listened intently, the atmosphere shifting as Liam continued. "But I refuse to be silent any longer. I deserve to be here just like everyone else, and so do all of you." His voice grew stronger with each word, emboldened by the support of Emma and the other students who had shared their stories. The impact of his words reverberated through the room. Students exchanged glances, a mix of empathy and realization washing over them. Liam could see the spark of recognition in their eyes, a growing understanding of the importance of solidarity and support. As he finished speaking, the auditorium erupted into applause. It was a mixture of surprise and appreciation, a wave of recognition for the courage it took to share his experience. Liam felt a rush of emotions, relief, validation, and an overwhelming sense of belonging. For the first time, he felt seen and heard. Principal Stevens approached the podium once more, his expression transformed from one of authority to one of genuine concern. "Thank you, Liam, for sharing your story. Your bravery sets an example for us all." With the atmosphere shifting, the principal announced new initiatives aimed at fostering a safer environment for all students. He outlined plans for workshops, support groups, and a commitment to addressing bullying more seriously. The promise of change hung in the air like a beacon of hope, igniting a renewed sense of determination among the students. But the climax was far from over. As Liam stepped off the stage, he felt the weight of Elliot Morgan's gaze bore into him. The popular boy had been silent throughout the assembly, but now the air crackled with tension as Elliot stood up, a smug expression plastered on his face. "Look at you, Foster." Playing the victim card in front of everyone, he sneered, his tone dripping with sarcasm. The room went silent again, the atmosphere shifting from triumphant to tense in an instant. Liam could feel the energy in the auditorium wane, a collective apprehension settling over the students. Elliot took a step forward, his friends flanking him, emboldened by the attention. "Are you really going to act like you're one of us now?" "You're just a charity case," Elliot continued, his voice echoing through the auditorium. Liam's heart raced, but he refused to back down. This was his moment. "I'm not here to play games, Elliot. I'm standing up for what's right, and I won't let you or anyone else intimidate me anymore." The words hung in the air, heavy with defiance. For a moment, it felt like time had frozen. Students exchanged uncertain glances, unsure of how the confrontation would unfold. Elliot's expression shifted, anger flaring in his eyes. "You think you're so tough now, huh? We'll see how long that lasts." He gestured to his friends, who chuckled darkly, but Liam could feel the support of those around him. Emma's reassuring presence anchored him, her belief in him shining through the tension. Before Elliot could retaliate, a chorus of voices erupted from the crowd. "Leave him alone," someone shouted, and the call was echoed by others who had witnessed the bullying. It was a turning point, a collective stand against the cruelty that had permeated Crestwood Academy for far too long. Principal Stevens stepped forward, sensing the escalation. "Enough. This is not the environment we strive for at Crestwood Academy," he asserted, his voice firm and authoritative. "Bullying in any form will not be tolerated. We are committed to creating a community that supports one another, and that includes holding those who perpetrate bullying accountable." The principal's words carried weight, and Liam felt a surge of relief wash over him. The tide was turning, and for the first time, it felt like the students were ready to challenge the status quo. Elliot, visibly flustered by the backlash, faltered for a moment. The laughter that once surrounded him had transformed into a wave of disapproval. As he stepped back, the power he had wielded began to fade, replaced by the strength of unity that emerged from the assembly. In that climactic moment, Liam Foster stood tall, emboldened by the support of his peers and the promise of change. He had faced his fears, challenged the bullying culture, and ignited a movement within Crestwood Academy. The assembly had shifted from a moment of despair to a declaration of solidarity, a collective voice standing against the darkness that had long overshadowed their school. As the assembly concluded, Liam felt a sense of hope bloom within him. The journey was far from over, but he was no longer alone in his fight. Crestwood Academy was on the brink of transformation, and Liam Foster was at the forefront, ready to embrace the change that awaited. In the aftermath of the assembly, Crestwood Academy was abuzz with energy and a renewed sense of purpose. The shift in atmosphere was palpable. Students who had once stood by in silence now rallied together, fueled by Liam's courageous stand against bullying. The conversations that filled the hallways were different this time, filled with hope, support, and a shared commitment to change. As Liam walked through the halls, he felt a sense of pride swelling within him. He was no longer the invisible boy hiding in the shadows, he was part of something bigger. The echoes of laughter had transformed from mocking jeers into sounds of camaraderie. Students exchanged smiles and nods of encouragement, and for the first time, he felt genuinely connected to those around him. Emma was right by his side, her unwavering support shining like a beacon. "You were amazing, Liam," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "You stood up to Elliot, and you inspired everyone. This could really change things." "I can't believe I actually did it," Liam admitted, still riding the adrenaline from the assembly. It felt incredible to finally speak up. The two friends walked together to their next class, discussing the day's events. Liam couldn't shake the sense of empowerment that coursed through him. he realized that standing up had not only transformed his own experience but had also ignited a movement among his peers. Over the next few days, the atmosphere at Crestwood continued to evolve. Students began forming groups to discuss their experiences and brainstorm ways to promote inclusivity within the school. Support networks emerged, encouraging students to share their stories and advocate for one another. Liam found himself participating in these discussions, contributing ideas for workshops and awareness campaigns to address bullying. One afternoon, Liam, Emma, and several classmates gathered in the library to plan their first event. They decided to host a Unity Day, a celebration that would bring students together to share their stories and promote a culture of acceptance. As they brainstormed, Liam felt a sense of purpose wash over him. This was more than just a school event, it was an opportunity to create lasting change. "I think we should have a mural where everyone can add their handprint and a positive message," Emma suggested, her excitement infectious. "It could symbolize our commitment to standing together against bullying." "Great idea," Liam replied, envisioning the colorful mural as a visual representation of their unity. "We could also organize workshops to help students learn how to support each other." As they mapped out their plans, Liam felt a sense of camaraderie that he had longed for since he first arrived at Crestwood. The support from his classmates fortified his resolve, and together they envisioned a brighter future for their school. However, not everyone embraced the changes. Elliot Morgan and his group of friends were visibly upset by the shift in power dynamics. The popular boy's smug confidence had taken a hit, and he retaliated by attempting to undermine the movement. Whispers began circulating, fueled by Elliot's disdain for Liam and the changes taking place at Crestwood. "Look at them, thinking they can change things," Elliot sneered to his friends as they watched the Unity Day preparations unfold from a distance. "It's just a phase. They'll go back to their old ways soon enough." But Liam remained undeterred. With Emma's support, he focused on the momentum building within the student body. As Unity Day approached, excitement buzzed in the air, and Liam felt invigorated by the sense of community that had blossomed. On the day of the event, the school was adorned with colorful banners and decorations, the air filled with laughter and conversation. Students mingled, sharing their stories and connecting with one another in ways they had never done before. Liam and Emma stood proudly at the entrance, welcoming everyone with warm smiles. As the event kicked off, Liam took to the stage to address the crowd. He felt a surge of pride as he looked out at the sea of faces, students from all backgrounds united in their commitment to change. "Thank you all for being here today," he began, his voice steady and clear. "This day is about celebrating our diversity and standing together against bullying. Each of us has a voice, and together we can create a safe and inclusive environment for everyone." Cheers erupted from the crowd, and Liam felt a swell of hope. This was the moment he had envisioned, a community coming together to promote acceptance and respect. As the day unfolded, students participated in various activities, including workshops and discussions, all designed to foster understanding and connection. However, in the shadows, Elliot and his friends plotted their next move. The unity among the students only fueled their resentment, and they sought ways to undermine the progress that had been made. Elliot, desperate to regain his status, began spreading rumors, hoping to sow discord and fear. "Did you hear what Liam said during the assembly? He's just trying to make everyone feel sorry for him," Elliot told a group of students, smirking as he spun his narrative. "He's not a hero, he's just playing the victim." Despite Elliot's attempts to create division, Liam remained focused on the positive impact of Unity Day. The support he felt from his peers was unshakable, and he knew that the tide had turned. No longer would bullying dictate his experience at Crestwood. As Unity Day continued, students painted their handprints on the mural, each color representing their individuality. Messages of kindness and support adorned the walls, transforming the once stark environment into a vibrant tapestry of hope. Liam watched as his classmates shared their stories and connected with one another, feeling the weight of his previous struggles begin to lift. That evening, as Liam returned home, he felt a sense of accomplishment wash over him. He couldn't believe how far he had come, from feeling invisible to becoming a catalyst for change. He shared the day's events with Daniel, who beamed with pride at his son's resilience and courage. "You've done something remarkable, Liam," Daniel said, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You've shown that standing up for what's right can inspire others. Keep it up, and remember, I'm always here for you." Liam felt a rush of gratitude for his father's unwavering support. It had been a long journey, but now, he had the strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As days turned into weeks, the impact of Unity Day began to permeate the culture at Crestwood. Students who had once been silent began to find their voices, and the administration took notice of the changes happening within the student body. Workshops focused on empathy and respect became a regular part of the curriculum, and the administration encouraged open dialogue about bullying and inclusivity. Yet, Elliot and his friends remained bitter, their influence waning as the positive energy within the school surged. They attempted to undermine the initiatives, but their efforts fell flat as students united against the negativity. The power dynamics had shifted, and the sense of community flourished. Liam found solace in the friendships he had built, especially with Emma, who had become his steadfast ally. Together, they continued to advocate for change, brainstorming new ways to foster acceptance and support within the school. One afternoon, as they sat in the library discussing their next steps, Liam looked at Emma with gratitude. "I couldn't have done this without you. Your support has meant everything to me." Emma smiled, her eyes sparkling with warmth. "You've always had it in you, Liam. I just helped you see it. You've become a leader in this school, and I'm proud to stand by your side." With their friendship solidified, Liam and Emma continued to push for further initiatives, determined to create a lasting legacy of inclusivity at Crestwood Academy. As they prepared for upcoming events and initiatives, they knew the road ahead would not be without its challenges. But together, they were ready to face whatever came their way. The camaraderie among students flourished, and the message of unity and acceptance continued to spread. The bond that had formed within the student body became a powerful force, one that would not be easily shaken. In the weeks following Unity Day, Liam continued to thrive academically and socially. He became more involved in school activities, joining clubs that promoted inclusivity and social justice. The once shy boy had transformed into a confident advocate, eager to make a difference. As Liam looked around at the changes within Crestwood Academy, he felt a sense of fulfillment that had eluded him for so long. The journey had been challenging, but he had emerged stronger, surrounded by friends who valued him for who he was. Yet, the echoes of Elliot's words lingered, a reminder that challenges still existed. The popular boy's attempts to undermine the progress made it clear that the fight for inclusivity was ongoing. But Liam was determined to stand firm, armed with the support of his friends and the community that had rallied around him. As he prepared for the next chapter of his journey, Liam Foster embraced the path ahead. He had faced his fears, stood up against adversity, and found a voice within himself. Together with Emma and their peers, he was ready to continue the fight for change at Crestwood Academy, ensuring that the lessons learned would resonate long into the future. As the school year drew to a close, the atmosphere at Crestwood Academy had undergone a profound transformation. The momentum that had built during Unity Day continued to resonate throughout the halls, creating a culture of respect and support that was palpable. Students who had once been divided began to embrace their differences, and the sense of community flourished. Liam Foster stood in front of the mural that his classmates had created, a vibrant tapestry of handprints and messages that symbolized their commitment to inclusivity. Each mark on the wall represented a story, a voice, and a promise to stand together against bullying. The mural had become a centerpiece of the school, a daily reminder of the journey they had taken together. As he surveyed the artwork, Liam felt a sense of pride swell within him. This was more than just paint on a wall, it was a testament to the power of unity and resilience. He thought back to the days of ridicule and isolation, realizing just how far he had come. No longer did he feel like an outsider, he was part of a community that valued him and his voice. Emma joined him, her presence a comforting constant. "It looks incredible, doesn't it?" she remarked, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm as she admired the mural. "We've really made an impact." "We have," Liam agreed, smiling at her. I never thought it would come to this, but I'm so grateful for everything we've accomplished. Their friendship had become a source of strength for both of them. Together, they had navigated the challenges of high school, supporting one another through the ups and downs. Liam knew that Emma had been instrumental in helping him find his voice, and he appreciated her unwavering belief in him. As the school prepared for its end-of-year ceremony, the administration recognized the positive changes that had taken place within Crestwood Academy. Principal Stevens announced that the school would be implementing new policies aimed at promoting inclusivity and addressing bullying more effectively. Workshops and training sessions would be held regularly, and the student body would be encouraged to take an active role in creating a safe environment for all. During the ceremony, students gathered in the auditorium, anticipation hanging in the air. Liam sat with Emma and their friends, excitement bubbling within him. As the principal took the stage, Liam felt a sense of pride wash over him, knowing that the efforts of so many had led to this moment. Today, we celebrate not only our academic achievements but also the progress we have made as a community, Principal Stevens began, his voice resonating through the room. The changes we have implemented are a reflection of the values we hold dear: respect, empathy, and inclusivity. Liam's heart swelled as he listened, recognizing the significance of the moment. The principal's words echoed the sentiments of the students who had rallied together, determined to create a culture that embraced diversity and rejected bullying. As the ceremony progressed, students were recognized for their contributions to the Unity Day initiative and the ongoing efforts to promote kindness and understanding. Liam watched as his classmates received awards, their faces beaming with pride. Each recognition was a testament to the collaborative spirit that had flourished at Crestwood. Finally, it was Liam's turn. Principal Stevens called his name, and the auditorium erupted in applause. With a mix of nerves and excitement, Liam made his way to the stage. As he stood before the crowd, he took a moment to absorb the energy in the room. "Thank you, everyone," Liam began, his voice steady. "This past year has been a journey for all of us. I've learned that our strength lies in our unity and that we can create change when we come together." The applause grew louder, and Liam felt the warmth of support surrounding him. He glanced at Emma, who beamed with pride, encouraging him to continue. "I want to thank my friends, my family, and everyone who believed in this movement. We've shown that we can rise above bullying and foster a community where everyone feels valued and respected. Let's carry this spirit forward and continue to support one another," he concluded, his heart full. As he stepped down from the stage, the applause echoed in his ears, a celebration of their shared triumph. Liam felt a profound sense of belonging and fulfillment. The journey had not been easy, but the bonds he had forged and the changes they had enacted made every challenge worthwhile. In the days that followed, Crestwood Academy thrived under its newfound values. Students actively engaged in discussions about inclusivity, and the once toxic atmosphere transformed into one of encouragement and acceptance. Liam watched as friendships blossomed across different groups, breaking down barriers that had previously existed. Elliot Morgan and his friends, realizing their attempts to undermine the movement had failed, gradually lost their influence. The camaraderie among students was too strong, and the message of unity resonated deeply within the school. The once popular bullies found themselves isolated as their power diminished, overshadowed by the positive changes that had taken root. Liam's confidence grew as he became more involved in school activities. He joined the student council, eager to contribute to initiatives that promoted a culture of kindness and support. The sense of responsibility filled him with purpose, and he was determined to ensure that the progress they had made would endure. One afternoon, while meeting with the council, Liam proposed organizing a series of workshops focusing on empathy and conflict resolution. "We can empower students to communicate effectively and understand one another's perspectives," he explained passionately. Emma nodded in agreement. "It's important to provide tools for students to navigate conflicts in a healthy way. We can also incorporate activities that foster collaboration and teamwork." The council embraced the idea, and plans for the workshops were set into motion. As Liam collaborated with his peers, he felt a renewed sense of determination. The changes they were making were not just for themselves but for future generations of students who would walk the halls of Crestwood Academy. As the summer approached, Liam reflected on the journey he had taken. He was no longer the boy who felt invisible. He had emerged as a leader, advocating for change and inspiring others to find their voices. The friendships he had formed were deeper than he could have imagined, and he felt grateful for the support of Emma and his classmates. On the last day of school, Crestwood Academy held a celebration to honor the progress they had made. Students gathered outside, enjoying the warm sun and the laughter that filled the air. Liam stood with Emma, surrounded by friends, basking in the atmosphere of joy and camaraderie. "This is what it's all about," Liam said, a smile spreading across his face as he looked around. "We did it together." Emma grinned back, her eyes sparkling with pride. "I can't wait to see what next year brings. We have so much more to accomplish." As the celebration continued, Liam took a moment to absorb the scene before him. The mural stood tall in the background, a vibrant testament to their journey. It was more than just a piece of art, it was a symbol of resilience and hope, a reminder of the power of unity. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the festivities, Liam felt a profound sense of gratitude wash over him. He had faced his fears, stood up against adversity, and helped create a community where everyone felt valued. The journey was far from over, but he was ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. With the support of his friends, family, and the Crestwood community, Liam knew that together, they could continue to champion kindness and inclusivity. As they celebrated their achievements, he felt a renewed sense of hope for the future, confident that the lessons they had learned would resonate long after they left the halls of Crestwood Academy. Liam Foster had found his voice, and in doing so, he had inspired a movement that would forever change the culture of his school. The journey had transformed him, and now, as he looked to the future, he was ready to carry that spirit of unity and acceptance into the next chapter of his life. Thank you for listening. See you in the next episode. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Goodbye.